Pleasure to get this guy on. This is Nathan Messer, a great follow on TikTok and Instagram. I encourage you. It's Nathan_Messer1 on Instagram. Lose the one on TikTok. All things movie, TV, gaming. Nate, thanks for joining us, and tell me a little bit about your content creation and how you kind of got started into it.
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me.
Of course.
How I got started in it, I don't know if you remember the high school days, but back then I got involved in like trick shot videos on
Oh
Vine,
yeah.
and that was kind of the introduction to social media in some ways. Went off to school and kind of stopped doing a lot of that, but my brother started picking it up again in college, and he got pretty popular, got a big following doing impressions and like comedy skits and stuff on both Vine, and then as that kind of integrated towards TikTok and Instagram, moved over to those platforms once Vine was shut down. And he COVID came around and he was like, dude, there's nothing to do, just get on here with me, we'll make some funny videos and kind of get rolling. And so I did, and I got on TikTok and Instagram and started posting some stuff. And then after a little while, I kind of found the market of content that I wanted to post that I was interested in, which was all the movie stuff, reaction videos, just posting my thoughts, doing reviews on movie and TV stuff.
Yeah, I've loved it. And you've gotten to do a ton of cool stuff as well because of that. I've seen you've gone to movie premieres, like exclusive stuff. Has there been other cool stuff that you've really maybe not have thought of when you first hopped on TikTok that has kind of happened? You're like, whoa, this is, pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I never really expect any of that to happen. I mean, probably like most people, they get on there and just do it for fun. And I still do it just for fun. As soon
Mhm.
as it feels like it's a hobby, or as soon as it feels like it's like a job and like something that I'm just forcing, I'm like, all right, I'm shutting down. I'm not posting anything for a couple days and just kind of regroup. I try to make sure that I stay in that space of why I started it in the first place, just for fun and to kind of just share my thoughts on different episodes and movies. But yeah, I never really expected. I've seen other content creators get to that point where they're going to premieres and all that stuff, and I always thought that'd be really cool, but I never really expected any of that. And then, really, just the last month, few months or so, is when those things kind of start trickling in. It's hasn't really been anything major, but yeah, a couple premieres. Working with Prime Video and MGM and some of those things to do those experiences have been pretty neat. But aside from that, it's really just been, working with partnering with different companies here and there for different stuff. But
And like
yeah,
you said, I mean, doing this as something you're enjoying, right? This would be something you're kind of doing and enjoying, even if the camera was off. So it's like, hey, why
right.
not turn it on, and see where it
Exactly.
goes?
It was something I was already doing.
Mhm.
My family has always been big movie TV people. So my brothers and I, we will watch something and then immediately, hey, what'd you think? Let's talk about it. Same reason I started a Star Wars podcast, just because we
Yeah.
follow the content and we're already talking about it. So we're like, hey, let's just press record and do the same thing we're already doing.
Yeah, and check that out on YouTube as well, the Star Wars podcast. So take us behind the scenes. You kind of talked about it. It's like, hey, you want to put out good content, but you don't want to force it. You're enjoying what you're doing. Is it like, hey, I'm trying to do something per day? Okay, maybe I don't have something today. I take a couple off. Any like specific goals with how you've been doing the last couple months?
Yeah, I try to. That's a great question. I think it's a question that like constantly changing.
Mhm.
When it comes to some content, obviously there's certain things that I know that I enjoy posting, whether it's reactions or like reviews or just my thoughts on particular episodes or movies. Um, so that stuff is pretty consistent. A little different right now with all the strikes going on. Can't really post a ton
Right.
of that stuff, but um it is interesting because you want to be different than what other people are posting in the same niche, but also just kind of be yourself. And
Mhm.
so I try to, when I make a reaction, I try to be genuine. I'm not someone who posts like a reaction video that's just like intentionally way over the top or like something that's just like kind of comes off fake. Because I've seen those videos, and although they're engaging, they're entertaining, I'm like, what do you really think about this?
Right, exactly.
Um, and so I try to be, authentic in that way. If it could be a reaction where I'm just wasn't impressed, but it is what it is. I try to kind of be myself, and then I also just follow the content that I enjoy. So like I'm not going to do that for every single movie that's coming out.
Mhm.
I'm going to do it for the movies I probably will go see. If it's something I'm probably not the most interested in, I probably won't be covering it. Not that there's anything wrong with just covering everything, but when you are covering a lot of things, um, I try to, pick my time wisely on what I want to do and what I want to like touch on, which is why naturally a lot of my content ends up revolving around the Star Wars, Marvel, some of the big franchises because I'm already following all that stuff.
Yeah. Was there a surreal moment where you're like, holy crap, I just got 12 million views on this thing? Or like, did you know when you were kind of like, I love you do a lot of lightsaber videos, which I think are super
Yeah.
cool and super interactive. And do you know going into that where you're like, oh, this might pop off, or is it kind of like a surprise? You're like, damn, this really took off.
Yeah, sometimes it's both.
Mm.
It's a little bit of both. So one thing, for anybody that's interested in getting into like the social media, TikTok, Instagram, they're all pretty much the same. They've got different algorithms, but they're all, the short form video that have
Hmm.
algorithms to try and push your content out to new people is essentially what is going on right now on every platform.
Yeah.
Um, so in some ways, yeah, like I'll make a video and be like, "Oh, this felt like a good one," or "This felt like a good idea," and it will perform better than average.
Sure.
Um, you know, might get a few million views or whatever. But then there have been videos where I'm like, I shouldn't even post this. This is lame. But I just do it because I already recorded it, and then that
Yeah.
one just does well. It's weird, and vice versa. There's been ones where I was like, dude, this is a solid one. I could see this doing well, and then it's dead.
Name of the game.
So it is. That's exactly what it is. It's the name of the game, and it's in some ways it can be discouraging, but it can also be encouraging, because it kind of relieves the pressure of like I'm not as worried about like the quality. Like you obviously want to post quality content, but that's not my necessarily like primary focus or like consumed by it. Because I know that I could have a good video that I could look at and be like, this is probably one of my favorite videos I've ever made. And it just didn't perform well. And I know that it's not like a reflection of the video. It's just for whatever reason, the algorithm didn't push it out.
Yeah.
So for anybody that is trying to get into that space, don't be discouraged about like, oh, this episode of the podcast didn't do well, or this particular clip didn't do well, because sometimes it really is just random.
No, exactly. And I think that's a super key point where it's like it's tough not to get caught up in it, but you can't really get caught up in it. You just got to keep
Yeah.
doing you, enjoying what you're doing, and yeah, putting out content that you enjoy making. So I guess my last question on that would be like, do you have, as you've been doing this since COVID, back in the Vine days too, like you've been transforming from social platforms and having
Yeah.
continued success, any tips you found along the way, or maybe something you now would tell you back in the pandemic?
Oh yeah. I mean, being that one of the trickier things about social media is being consistent, because like
Mhm.
there are ways where like I'm not in the mood to like just go spend an hour or 2 hours making this thing. Um, but I do believe that consistency definitely helps on a lot of these
Mhm.
platforms. I think it's integrated into a lot of the algorithms of being consistent and posting consistently, because as the platform creators, they want people to stay on their platform. It's just
Mhm.
the nature of it. So they might reward you for being consistent. That said, I would say some of the tips would be, again, don't don't turn it into something that you're posting for other people. Post it for yourself, because
Mhm.
you'll have more enjoyment out of it, and then that comes through on camera. Um, like whenever you're posting something that you enjoy, those videos are naturally going to probably perform better because people can feel that you're authentic.
Yeah.
Um, and when it's fake, people can kind of tell you're just posting this because everybody else is posting it.
Sure.
So I would say, yeah, I mean, try to be consistent when you can, but also take like healthy breaks because it
Yeah.
can consume you. Um, and then post what you like. Don't be discouraged if something doesn't perform. Just post something else. Post something
Love
else.
it.
Don't worry so much about the quality of the content. Necessarily doesn't need to be perfect, 4K video. Just
Yeah.
make it, throw it on there, and let it ride.
Now, I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but he's all things movie, TV, gaming. So you got a favorite movie for us, favorite TV show, something that's
Oh
a must
yeah.
check out?
Oh man. individual movie is probably more difficult. As far as a franchise, Star Wars has always been my favorite franchise. It's one of the first movies I ever saw as a kid. It's something that I've just bonded over with my family, with even my relatives. Part of the reason why we have the podcast now is because it's one of the first things we ever saw. So naturally, I'm biased towards the franchise. There's a reason why there's a lot of lightsaber content on my page from different companies, because I cover a lot of Star Wars stuff. So I would say as a whole, Star Wars franchise has always been like a big part of just my childhood growing up watching those movies. Anything Christopher Nolan, love it. They're always great.
Yes.
Can't go wrong. TV shows, favorite TV show of all time. I can name a couple, but I think Breaking Bad has to be up there.
Yep.
Breaking Bad's very good, through and through, beginning to end. Game of Thrones has its ups and downs.
Yep.
But it's a good story. Yeah. Probably Breaking Bad is up there.
I'm with you on Nolan. I think I literally love every single one of his movies. I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. Have you? Is it as great as
I'm going to see it today. I'm going.
Good luck.
For maybe the first time, I'm going by myself to the IMAX to go see Oppenheimer, because I was like, I'm about to leave to go out of town tomorrow.
Sure.
And I'm like, dude, I got to see this before I leave. I've been avoiding too much stuff on social media around it, so I got to see it.
Yep, I got to keep an eye out then. Nathan_Messer1 on Instagram, Nathan_Messer on TikTok. Success in content creation and on the hardwood, right? You were leading. We knew each other from high school. You were leading our team. I was giving you water.
No, dude, it's more than that.
But then
we
you led
had a
to
fun team.
Yeah, that was a great team. Really, just like that team together, we just grew up. I felt like that's a whole different story about varsity athletics and how that could bring a team together. But success into college as well as a D1 athlete. Just touch on kind of your career there before content creation, right?
Yeah, and honestly, that's part of the reason why my content there's a gap from the Vine days to not really posting at all for 5 or 6 years there in college. 5 years, I say. Yeah, I mean, I obviously went to the same high school, played basketball, a big part of my life growing up. Pretty much consumed everything I did. For better and for worse, but it obviously led to some cool opportunities, so I'm very thankful for it. But yeah, I after high school, I went on to Navy. I played there Division I basketball for 2 years, and then after 2 years, I kind of realized it wasn't the career I was looking for. Obviously, going to an academy like that, a dream of mine was playing Division I basketball, but there's bigger things outside of sports and athletics, and that's kind of when a lot of that started hitting me, and it wasn't really the career I was looking for. So I ended up transferring locally back to kind of the Missouri area to Truman State University, where I finished my career playing basketball there too. But yeah, my younger brother ended up coming to Truman, so we got to play together. Basketball has been a huge part of my life. My older brother trains professional athletes still for basketball, so I get to hop in and help him out with that a lot. So basketball, even though I'm on social media doing all this stuff, basketball is still a huge part of my life.
Definitely. That's great to hear. Hey, I'm excited to continue following your journey and success. This is Nathan Messer, Nathan_Messer1 on Instagram, Nathan_Messer on TikTok. Hey, man, thanks so much for joining us. Go enjoy Oppenheimer and hope to talk soon.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Like I said, thanks again for having me on. I wish you all the success too. Appreciate it.